April 12th marks the 150th anniversary of the start of the Civil War, and Lexington boasts its own unique ties to the war. As the final resting place of Generals Robert E. Lee and Thomas "Stonewall" Jackson, Lexington usually attracts a large tourist crowd. With the sesquicentennial of the Civil War right around the corner, the city is gearing up for tourist season. Mayumi Smitka, Director of Communications and Marketing at the Lexington Visitor Center, says that as of yet she has not seen a rise in the number of visitors.
At this point, we're not seeing such a rise in visitorship, but we are seeing a rise in requests for information. So publications such as Civil War Traveler that we work with closely have already run out of publications and are doing reprints. So hopefully in the next several months that's going to translate into more visitorship. But usually there's a lag between the request for information and then visitorship actually jumping.
However, other tourist venues expect to see more visitors. W&L sophomore Abigail Horn works in Lee Chapel.
We're expecting a spike. A lot of people will probably start to come in, especially as the weather warms up, people's children start going on spring break. Older people start coming through because it's warmer, or they're headed north from vacation homes farther south. But we are expecting to see a lot of people come through because we are the last resting place of General Lee. We're expecting a lot of people that will wish to pay their respects at this time.
Tourists on the Civil War Trail can find plenty to see and do in Lexington. On Washington Street, visitors can tour one of Jackson's former residences. On its website, the Stonewall Jackson House claims its goal is to preserve the former home and to educate by interpreting the life, character, and times of the general.
According to a December 6 press release, the VMI Board of Visitors voted to continue the process that could lead to the transfer of assets and activities of the Stonewall Jackson Foundation to VMI. At that time, Institute officials continued to evaluate the proposed acquisition. Now, 4 months later, the Stonewall Jackson House executive director refused to be interviewed.
And located literally down the street from the Stonewall Jackson House is the Campbell House. Campbell House is home to the Rockbridge County Historical Society. In a phone interview, Executive Director George Warren said that the Historical Society is devoted to preserving local history dating back to the 1770s. Warren, a cadet at VMI 50 years ago, remembers the 100th anniversary fondly. Every single day there was a recognition for something that had to do with the Civil War. We would recognize a battle or someone that fought in the war, he said. And according to the VMI Communications Office, VMI will be hosting one of the sesquicentennial conferences next year. And while local plans are murky, Warren alluded that the focus of the sesquicentennial will not be as celebratory as it used to be. I'm reluctant to call it an anniversary. It's more of a remembrance. As a state, Virginia is very dependent on tourism, especially in this area. However, you'll find that the focus of the remembrance will have a very subtle change in how it's presented. There will be no emphasis on flag waving or on battle reenactments. Instead, there will be a more scholarly approach, one dedicated to the political and social atmosphere of the time, he said. For the Lexington Times, I'm Deandra Spichak.